Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Guitar Souls podcast. This is episode number 132, I believe. Were you miming number 3 there, or 2?
1, 3, and 2.
Okay, cool. We got all of them. I see. Very clever.
I've been doing this for fucking 20 episodes or something, man.
No, I wasn't sure if you got it right, but...
No, I probably didn't. I can't do the phones for you thing, and I worked for them for years.
Good point. I am one of your hosts, Mr. Levi Clay, and I am here with the man that looks like he's in a snood. Is that the thing? Is that a thing? Is a snood a thing? That sounds like a thing.
A snood's like...
I thought it was like a onesie type thing that you...
No, that's... I don't even know what you call that.
What the hell is a snood?
A snood is like the bit of material that goes round your neck, and you can pull it up over your face like a mask or a bandana, or you can fold it around the front of your face as well.
Okay. Well, there you go. You learn something new every day. How are you?
Rather hungover. How are you?
Not hungover. I'm good. Tell us all about your gig.
Oh, it was all right.
I'll post some pictures of it while you're talking about it. Where were you playing?
Just all right. Sorry, so we were super lucky and got to play at Damnation Festival. Kind of made up for the fact that we missed Bloodstock, which was pretty tremendous. We're put on the tone stage, tone management, which was like, there was 4 stages. And we were on quite early, which we weren't bothered about, but I was kind of like, I wonder how well attended it will be earlier on in the day. The last time I had been at Damnation Festival, it was Carcass who were headlining. That was back in 2008, and it's the same venue. So to then be on the bill with Carcass in the same venue was quite surreal.
Yeah.
So we got down there pretty early. We left at like 5 in the morning. We got picked up about 6, set off for 6:45 by the time we'd packed the car. Got down there for just after 10. We thought we potentially had like press slots. I think there was a lot of bands potentially had that booked in, but it never happened. Don't know what the reason for it was, but we were there nice and early, which was great. Got everyone set up. And we were on second, so we were on stage starting at 2. Given how much Party Cannon always have problems with setup times and getting on stage and things going wrong, we were very conscious of not fucking up. So we had all our stuff sitting ready. The rider and tech spec for the back line, they'd basically said drum kits are not being changed. You can't bring your own equipment. It's just breakables and cymbals. Okay, right, fair enough. That's fair, or still whatever. But then we'd say to the sound guys, and they're like, no, we can swap it, it's fine. So I was like, right, I'm just double checking with you all, including like the stage manager and the backline manager. You're okay with this? Aye, it's fine. And the good thing is Martin has his kit set up onto like 3 or 4 small racks.
Right.
And all you need to do is basically take them on stage and sit them down, and that's everything except a floor tom and his bass drum. Yeah. And he's got like a Roland pad for that anyway.
Right.
For his sampler. So anyway, it comes to about, I think that the first band that were on Cryptic Shift finished just about 1:15. We're off stage for 1:30. So we start loading on, and the plan was, right, no fucking about. We got all the Martin stuff on the riser. Then we do our own shit. Yeah. If he needs help, at least that way everything's on the stage for him to crack on and build up.
Sure.
Somehow we go on stage, everything's set up, dealt with our small hiccups and whatever else, ready to go by about 5 to 2, which is like a first for Party Cannon history. I mean it. Like, to the point where we're standing about and we're kind of like, I think we could signal the sound man to tell them that we're ready so we can start the intro sample. As if like we were waiting on them.
Yeah.
Which was, again, bizarre. I'm so used to us being like 10 minutes over, being like, we need to cut 2 songs, can you hurry up?
Yeah, also necessary, surely, because you had a very strict time that you could play, and I know you mentioned it last week that you timed your set.
Yes.
So it was perfect for the needs.
Well, that was what we were trying to do. We wanted to make a good impression, and it gave us quite a good opportunity to get an in with the festival, which is great. Gav, who runs the festival, we got to chat with him beforehand as well, which was nice. Got to see him at the production office. He was quite excited about it. And they've lent into the Party Cannon stuff as well, obviously. A lot of the marketing's got our logo in full colour. Yeah. Which I think came from fans, which is nice. The amount of people who were like, wait a fucking minute, what are you doing printing that with just not like the real logo there?
Yeah.
So in the actual university, in the actual campus, a big screen, and it had all the times on it, so you could see like visually who was going to clash. And ours was the only one with full colour logo, obviously, which was class. And then they had the Damnation style t-shirts that had like the bubble writing Party Cannon style, which was really cool. Yeah. So anyway, we got to start the set the sample, went great, started the set, went great, and there's a couple of hiccups during the set. Craig had a couple of guitar issues. His input was playing up a little bit.
That's what
to
happens
start
when
with.
you don't play an Ormsby. Carry on.
Ooh. So the couple of wee issues to start with, nothing too bad. Got a couple of songs under our belt. Things were going really good. Craig broke a string, sorry, the 4th song in.
That's what happens when you don't play Ormsby. Carry on.
Jumped behind the guitar amp, started changing strings, whatever else. So Chris was talking a wee bit while we were waiting. It was like, right, we're running good on time, so fuck it, we'll just play the song and Craig can join in. He's nearly done, right? So we went to start playing, and it was the new track, the one we just released, Nauseating and Unpalatable. Things are going pretty good despite the fact there's only one guitar that started it, but we're like, fuck it, you roll with the punches, you get on with it.
Yeah.
And I can hear Martin, like, something wasn't right, so I turn round, and he's like raging, and I'm like, what the fuck's up with him? And I spotted that the microphone had fallen off the snare,
right,
clipped on the edge, and landed on the snare. So he was trying to drum, and the snare was like, either he was like nearly hitting the mic, or the mic was jumping and hitting ghost notes and shit.
Sure.
So he's like, I need fucking help. Craig's away fixing his guitar. Chris doesn't get a clue what's going on. Neither's Tony. So there's me. He just cuts my guitar off and arm right through the cymbals. So to introduce the brand new song, there was about 30 seconds of the music that had no guitar. But other than that, it was fucking great, man. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we had the room packed. I genuinely don't really remember that much of being in awe when I was there. I was just kind of in the zone of, right, you need to play well. You know what I mean? Like, that I have a job to do. But some of the videos and pictures I've seen afterwards and the things that people have said, I've been like, oh, that could be quite a lot then. Toyin, one of the guys for the management company we're with, Kerosene, he said he thought we might be playing, or might have played to about 1,500 people, which would have been about half the festival. I don't know if that's the case, but if it is, it terrifies me.
It's believable based on the pictures that I've seen. So
there's been quite a bit. The Party Cannon Instagram page has got like a Damnation highlights reel.
Yeah.
I don't know how Instagram works. I'm shit with that. I'm better with Facebook, and I'm not even very good with that. Anyway, there's a good reel of stuff on there that people have tagged us on and stuff, and it looks like people were having a lot of fun. We had like crowd surfers at 2 PM. It's fucking great.
Yeah, this is, I mean, a sign of things to come, you know. I imagine most of the people that were there were obviously Guitar Souls fans. That's why they came to see you.
Obviously.
And
full festival.
I'm glad that we've helped take the band to the next level for you. And also at the same time, if people want to put in their applications to replace Mike when he goes off to be a full-time rock star now, send them into GsolesFanMail@gmail.com.
No, it's all right. We'll make so much on merch that I can take you on tour with me, and we'll have like a broadcast unit in the bus.
Yeah.
That's that. A wee booth.
Just sitting there all day and going, this really is nauseating and unpalatable.
It really is, having to listen to this pish for this band. How are you, mate?
Yeah, just turned 33 a couple of days ago.
I was just going to say, how was your birthday? Mister doesn't ever put in on Facebook about it.
Yeah, it's just a non-event, isn't it? It's
not a non-event.
33, like it's a non-event.
Is that not Adele's new album?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that today, actually, aren't we? Nice of her to dedicate it to me. That was kind of her.
Aye.
But yeah, no,
I did ask her.
I didn't really do anything. We went out for dinner, but I go out for dinner all the time, so it was nice to spend some time with Melissa. But I spend time with Melissa all the time, so just another day, just another day. Nothing to get overboard about. I did obviously buy myself an organ for my birthday, but that's still not here yet. Got myself.
He's not going to tell you what kind of organ it was. Well,
liver.
It was a liver, I was going to say pancreas.
Yeah. So there's that, and nothing particularly interesting going on. Just working on getting this Gus G album transcribed as fast as humanly possible, so I can not have transcriptions to do. He says when he can see his email inbox with 145 emails that need dealing with. So
we know about 140 of them won't be spam.
Yeah.
So you've got 5 that you can get rid of right away.
Yeah. I delete the spam as it comes in. So the 140, probably about 130 there that are people that want me to do things. Some of them will have been there for 6 months at least, and they're going to be annoyed when I finally get back to them. But I'm really busy, so it is what it is. Also, I'm taking. I didn't do much for my birthday, but I'm going away next weekend for my birthday. I'm going to Edinburgh. Not for my birthday. I'm going to Edinburgh next weekend for Joseph Alexander's birthday.
Nice.
He turns 40.
Mm-hmm.
And what better way to enjoy some time away than to go and celebrate a friend's 40th in the capital?
I think you'll have a good time, man. Edinburgh will be really nice.
Yeah, a whole weekend away. Not
what
having to worry about dogs.
Where are you going?
Some Indian food, and then there's a party booked on the Saturday, like a hall booked, and
nice.
And we'll have some daytime to go around Edinburgh together. So yeah,
tremendous.
Do that. That'll be me, and hopefully wait for some new gear to show up next week.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, did you know This show is brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. We want to remind you guys that there is still time to get involved in the upcoming Run 16 guitars. Those include these incredible hypes available in 5 new colours. That Dragon Burst is absolutely stunning. You can also get your hands on one of the Metal X's, again available in a range of finishes. My personal pick has to be these headless Vs, absolutely outrageously cool. Imagine one of those in an 8-string, I absolutely love these. And finally, the Ando San signature model, available in 6, 7 and 8-string availability. Go and check them out at Ormsby's website right now. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Rev Amplification, a one-stop shop for all of your tonal needs. Head on over to their website to check out their range of lunchbox amplifiers, both the D20 and G20, 20-watt amplifiers with built-in 2-notes torpedo technology so you can record direct into your computer. If that doesn't suit, you can also check out one of their highly popular G2, 3 and 4 pedals, giving you that trademark Rev tone in a stomp box. Incredible tones, I use these myself. And finally, you may notice in the back of these videos a Rev Generator 120, an absolute masterclass in modern electric guitar tones. Check it out at their site now. So as always, a huge thanks to our friends and family over at both Ormsby Guitars and Rev Amplification. We should be able to bring you some footage of new gear hopefully next episode. Hopefully.
See what happens.
We'll probably be using it extensively in the bonus episode, which we need to record at some point next week, some point.
I'm only working tomorrow, which is Monday for anyone else's context, so I won't be in MG. I can't even spell, my brain's not working.
Still
Monday Guitar
hungover.
Geek Club. I am burst. So what doesn't help any is we left at like 5 in the morning. I had about a 10-minute nap. I went to bed at 3 this morning, and we were back up at 8 to go home. So I've kind of burnt the candle at both ends. And like I say, I'm back at work tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I'm doing that all the time, just constantly staying up late, and then my body just wants to get up at 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. At some point, it just wakes up. It's like, right, time to get up. I'm like, no, go back to sleep. Please go back to sleep. But no, get up, get some work done. Get up, play some video games.
Wow, that's a revoltingly like motivation.
Yeah. Not a fan. We have a bunch of fan mail to deal with today. Actually, so I had some fan mail in from Phil, but I dealt with all of that via one-on-one message, because it was via email is probably the better way of putting that, because it didn't really seem like show stuff. But yeah, just remember, guys, if you do send in fan mail and it's not something that's going to make it onto the show, it doesn't mean that we're going to ignore it. We're reading everything, and I'm going to get back to you. So send us fan mail to GsolesFanMail@gmail.com. First up, we have our friend Toad. If I remember rightly, Toad won the duality.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
Toad
Yes.
won the duality. So take it away, Mike.
Gifts for a guitar soul, obviously leading on from what we were talking about last week.
Yeah.
List of guitar-based ideas. Guitar parts such as switch tips, volume and tone knobs, scratch plates and tuners.
Tough one, that.
I think if you have someone that could guide you with that stuff, definitely. Good quality strap or strap locks. Quality strap's a good thing because it's an eye catcher for people. Strap locks they maybe don't know about, so that'd probably be the kind of like add-on sale by a shop, or if it's something that somebody said they want specifically.
Melissa dropped her guitar last night. Popped off the strap and just hit the deck, and put a nice big ding in the bottom of it, almost a crack. It's that deep. Because we're talking acoustic. And my first thought, the first thing I said was, no strap locks.
I've got a spare set in the house, like lock-in proper ones, Scholars you can have.
I don't know if they may work. They may because it's the back jack socket on an acoustic guitar where the
just get the Fender ones then.
Yeah,
they're the best shout for something like that. I know the one you're on about, where it's the socket and the strap.
Yeah.
Pin. Sorry, we're totally going off topic here. A hard shell case or gig bag, definitely, but you also need to take into consideration the shape of the guitar and the fit.
Yeah, hard shell cases can burn. I hate them.
I mean, they have their uses. They're not comfortable, but they have their uses.
Yeah.
Guitar interfaces and or software, again, brilliant if you know someone that can point you in the right direction. Pedal board, also a great one.
I've got a new pedal board coming this week.
Ooh. Some kind of guitar stand or wall mount holder, also belter ideas. And that's all the ideas I can think of at the moment.
Yeah.
They're all good ones, Toad, to be honest.
Always need more guitar stands.
Oh, you do?
I do need to buy more guitar stands. We'll come back to Coolest Guitarist scene.
Christmas fan mail from Billy Lascelles. Thanks, Billy. Hi, guys. In response to your request for more fan mail, here we are. Levi's question about Christmas presents. I would like from my loved ones for them to move all their crap off of my chair and from in front of my guitar so that I can play it without having to tidy up for half an hour first. Perhaps some sort of vouchers for an uninterrupted time to play. Half an hour would do. You know, you just need to get like an hour by hour calendar on your wall, like a time planner, and just block things off and just say, nope, check calendar. Not happening. Seriously though, I would like to get a basic but decent audio interface for recording. Everyone seems to recommend the Scarlett Solo, and it does seem an affordable Christmas present. What do you guys reckon? The reality is I'll most probably end up with an Iron Maiden tea cozy.
Nice bit of fan mail, that. Yeah, the Scarlett Solo is gonna do the job, right? What are you
Scarlett 2i2 I've got.
Okay.
I had a 6i4 Gen 3 or something, and it was just too many ins and outs for me, because all I needed was microphone and guitar in and out for monitors.
Yeah.
And that like one set of monitors, I wasn't doing references or anything.
Yeah.
So if you're only wanting to plug into your computer and just mess about, you can't really go wrong with the Solo. The only difference I think is the Solo doesn't have the dual fit.
Yeah, so just a jack in rather than the XLR jack.
I actually think it's an XLR and then a jack comes separate to the side, whereas those are like the mixed sockets. You know what I'm talking about?
I'll bring it up. Keep talking.
Yeah. So, like on your Yamaha desk now, so you get the XLR socket that's got the centre opened up, so you can put a jack cable in it as well. Looks like the Scarlett doesn't have it. I thought as much. So you've got a separate input for a guitar, but it's only one channel.
Okay.
I mean, really, it doesn't make a fucking difference.
Not that it makes any difference.
It doesn't.
I just imagine ever so slightly cheaper to in terms of parts, sourcing parts. Probably cheaper to have those two separate.
Right. So here I think is maybe the logic. You've got a microphone channel will only take the XLR, and a guitar channel will only take the guitar. Versus you could have two guitars or two mics through them. So there's the difference there. Yeah.
So I've never used the Scarlett myself, but you know I hear a lot of people have nothing but good things to say about it. Saying that, I am using the Scarlett Octo Pre as my expansion. 8 channel, 8 XLR channel expansion, which I use to have additional channels when we do things that require more than 2 microphones.
Which is never.
No, we do that.
I'm
kidding.
The thing about the Scarletts are I've had a few. They work well. The aftermarket service, the after sales service is pretty good.
Yeah,
and they are affordable.
Yeah,
so, good shout.
Yeah, it's definitely a good shout. I think a lot of people have been considering things like that. I wish it's something that we could talk about a little bit more on the channel, but it's one of those things where like I've used the Universal Apollo for so long, and before that I was using a PreSonus Firewire Pro.
Yep.
Those are the only 2 interfaces I've ever had. I don't care enough about recording to really nerd out about it, and the Universal Apollo is pretty expensive. It's going to be nobody's first choice, but beginner's choice. Sorry. So I just don't have the experience to really to talk about stuff like that at length, which is, I would say, a shame, but it's not. There are plenty of great sources out there to go and listen to and hear people talk about that sort of thing. So
this is the thing, there are better people out there to give opinions with more information on that than us. But we can still give our anecdotal evidence.
Yeah.
I had a PreSonus audio box, which was okay.
Yeah.
The Scarlett's always been pretty good. The 3 that I've had. So, I would recommend that. Thanks very much for writing in, Billy.
Or, you could get yourself something like I'm sure some of the pod stuff, I'm sure the HD 500 that I used to use, you could record direct using that. I'm sure you could.
You're right. Actually, a lot of the modelers now come with USB interfacing, but as soon as you plug it in and you've got the software suite installed, then that's you'll run it like a standalone program.
I actually hope I'm wrong on that, because that will highlight exactly what I'm saying. It just isn't my field of expertise.
No, I'm pretty certain you're right, because a few of the older Pod HDs and like the Pros come as rack mount units, and you only need a USB cable for them because they'll work as their own interface.
So Charlie writes in to tell us about the coolest guitar he's ever seen.
Okay,
let's turn that down. We don't want your adverts.
Hey guys, stumbled across this artist today called Masayoshi Takanaka. Is that right? I'm bad enough at reading, but I'm struggling today, man. My eyes are vibrating. Takanaka, and while watching one of his live performances, he just jives on stage with probably one of the strangest and coolest guitars I've ever seen. The link below is timestamped just before he bounces out from back of the stage, and I thought you guys would appreciate the wacky guitar on show.
So it's coming out. I'm sure Mike will comment on it as he comes out with it. It's a surfboard.
Yeah, I got that. Thanks.
It's not you. It's for the people that are listening, because actually we've had a massive uptake on people that listen to the show and don't watch it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Thanks to anyone who's listening and not viewing.
Yeah.
We don't have a preference per se. We're just lucky that we do have a wee audience that joins us in the Monday Night Guitar Geek Club. But that doesn't mean we don't love you too. Thank you.
So this gentleman is playing a surfboard with a guitar shape hollowed out in the middle of it, where you can actually see that guitar actually slots into the surfboard, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's got his name on it like a sticker. But I think that was a proper surfboard by the looks of it.
Yeah. It's comically outrageous, isn't it?
Big man looks comfy. Looks like he's having a good time.
Yeah. I'm surprised Devin Townsend wasn't using that on his last tour. Absolute nonsense.
Is this where him and Lee get the inspiration?
He's playing underwater?
Remember he tied the floaties to the guitar?
Yeah.
My joke was better than yours.
I feel that we should... I wish someone had got that mixed up when Herman did it and everything was lead. And it was just him at the bottom of the hall going...
Highly conductive. No, that's terrible. I don't mean any harm on MD.
Yeah, so...
oh, that's really weird. What a cool guitar.
Yeah, definitely not a cool guitar. I won't give it the title of a cool guitar.
But I would play that in Party Cannon.
Anytime people want to send something like that in, we're happy to give our thoughts on it. And yeah, unique. I'll definitely give it that. Eye-catching, you'll remember it. That's something you'll never forget.
Remember that time I saw a guy playing guitar on a surfboard?
Yeah. Would I want to play one? No, thank you.
Were you taking drugs at the time? No, let's say no.
Okay, last bit of fan mail.
Richard Gatehouse. Thanks for writing in, Richard. And his title is Good Customer Service, which is what we always love to hear about.
This is Richard Gatehouse working for the company Crimson Guitars.
I love the cynicism.
Yeah.
Hi, can't remember if it's something you've covered before, but would be good to hear about experiences of good customer service from music-related companies, whether shops, manufacturers, venues, software companies, etc. Funnily enough, kind of leads on for me just talking about how Scarlett were good.
Yeah, you had a lot of good experiences with those.
Focusrite, aye.
Yeah.
I recently went to use some fretboard cleaner that I had been given as a present several months ago. It turned out the spray bottle was somehow empty, even though it hadn't been used. So I contacted Crimson Guitars to let them know in case there was a problem with the way it had been packaged or shipped, which may have affected others. They straight away offered to send a replacement, even though I hadn't ordered it myself and it had been at least 8 months since I received the bottle. This kind of customer service certainly makes me want to look at ordering from Crimson in the future for any guitar-related tools. Fuck the sleazy Tory bastards, Richard. Thanks very much for that, Richard. And it's not often you are taken back by how good a company can treat you, from like how much trust they even put in you.
That's kind of minimal levels of customer service. I don't know if you saw it. Did you see KDH's video just recently on Phil X?
When he put it forward that something happened with the airline and it was actually him that was the problem?
No. So he got a hard case, bought a hard case. I think he got it second hand. It was broken by the airline.
That's right, and he was blaming the manufacturer.
Well, he went to the company and said, like, just wanted to let you know that this is broken. It's something that I use regularly. By the way, I play for Bon Jovi, doing the clout thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they wrote back to him
Great instructions how to fix it in 5 minutes.
Yeah, essentially saying, like, we know that you probably don't have the time to send it to us so we can fix it and send it back.
Mm-hmm.
But trust us, it's a super easy fix. Go to your local hardware store, you need a rivet, you drill through, pop the new rivet in, it'll be fixed and no problem. Phil kind of took them to task on social media and just removed all context and painted it as though they had just said to him, fix it yourself, which just wasn't the case. But more importantly, in that scenario, it's not the case company's fault. The airline broke the case. You don't then go to, like, right now, you and me sitting here, if I just went over to the wall and fucking pulled your Ormsby off it and the headstock snapped off, you then go in and complain into Perry that your guitar broke. It'd just be the dumbest thing in the world. They didn't break the case. And who knows what levels of stress an airline put a fucking case under it for it to break. I think they did a good job of customer services in that. You don't always have to just be offered something free for something to be considered a good case of customer service. Though, of course, that is always nice.
I agree with you. In situations where people are maybe fishing for freebies, and it can be usually ascertained pretty quickly what someone wants when they make these kind of queries. Then companies do need to hold tight in that regard. They shouldn't feel they can be pressured into doing something shitty or having to take like a loss on their side.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's really the scenario here in any way, shape or
No, not
form,
at all.
obviously. But I'm really glad to hear that Crimson Guitars were good with you, Richard.
Yeah,
I've seen a few of their items like fret rubbers and stuff online. I think they do like kind of, I don't want to say like independent tools, but like tools for people who maybe aren't going to buy them directly from Stumac or whatever.
I just think Crimson would have been well within their rights to say that's unfortunate, but we don't know that you purchased it or that you didn't just use it and are trying to get a free one. And they could have easily done that, and I don't think they would have been the bad guys for doing that. But at the same time, they've pleased a customer by doing that, and that's how you make customers for life, isn't it? So trying to think if I've had any particularly great examples of customer service, and I want to say no, not really. But
Fender were great with you.
I never dealt with Fender directly, but to be honest, that's the reason why I haven't had anything that I would consider to be great customer service. Because I work in the music industry. Most of the stuff that I play, I have a working relationship with the companies that I do things with. I've definitely got examples of negative, like bad customer service that I could talk about. But I don't want to just shit on people for the sake of shitting on people, right? That's not what we're about here at the Guitar Souls podcast.
Not our style at all.
I can't really think of anybody going, above and beyond with me when they didn't have to, other than, them going above and beyond because it was beneficial for them and our working relationship with each other. So I'm not really the right one. But your example of the Scarlett, the Focusrite,
they were really good. They were really, really helpful. I even explained to them at the time, like when I got it, that it wasn't the original purchase. I'd got it second hand, but it was essentially brand new. And the issue I'd had was as soon as I plugged it in, and they just went, "Cool, it's still under warranty." So
yeah,
it's just cool.
So
what about when you asked about having a Red Dead? That went over and above a wee bit for you.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of what I mean. Like, it's hard to use examples like that as an example of great customer service because I have a working relationship with Perry.
I know. I respect the biases that we have to put in place there. I recognise.
Yeah, just saying to well, I've told it on the podcast many times before. It's behind us. Just saying to Perry that when they make a Red Dead Goliath, I'll be super on board, and him immediately coming back with, "Can make you a Red Dead Goliath if you want." And just doing it. So so I got a one of a kind. That was really cool. Probably should have done that with the guitar that I've got showing up. Probably should have said, "Can you get that refinished in like cock pink?"
Cock pink,
fleshy cock pink.
We'll draw some veins on it.
Well, no, actually, I want all the pickup wiring to be on the outside.
Right, like veins.
Like veins, yeah.
Cool. Can we shadow them in? Colour them the same as the guitar, so they're like really subtle.
Yeah.
Right, excellent.
Yeah,
excellent.
Try and work out a way to make it pulsate when playing it. Yeah, a throbbing Ormsby.
You are away on a mad tangent here.
There's absolutely something wrong with me. I know.
I was going to join in there until I realised that you're a miscreant. Anyway, we've got quite a few things to talk about, which is good.
Yeah, none of them, I would say, none of them major stories. So just
nothing mega exciting. To be honest, these are more like things that we can kind of speculate on, rather than what we've fell into the trap of before is the reading news.
Yeah.
Fair?
Yeah. This is a
funny one because we were talking about it before. Mastodon issue an apology for member Brent Hinds' comments about Disturbed.
Obviously, what? Go on.
What are you saying? What for?
Well, I saw this and I was like, what could he possibly have said?
You not remember?
No, I don't remember what he said.
We were speaking about it. It wasn't last episode, maybe the episode before. He was saying that you have to go and support bands like Disturbed, gay-ass bands like Disturbed was the way he put it.
Okay.
And the big kick-up was the fact that he was just using that really horrible, flammable, inflammatory language, and also being a bit shitty about Disturbed at the same time, like not being very grateful about it, as well as using slurs.
Sure.
Anyway, I will just read this because NME are quite a good way, are quite a good place for reporting, and I don't want to say journalistic integrity, but at least the writing's good. Mastodon have apologised on behalf of member Brent Hinds after he made comments about the metal band Disturbed that included an offensive slur. Hinds was a guest on Jamie Jasta's podcast, The Jasta Show, earlier this week, where he talked about Mastodon opening for Disturbed at Mayhem Festival in 2008. When asked if Hinds had any bucket list tours left, he responded, "No, I did a lot of tours I didn't want to go through, like Disturbed and all that mayhem, stupid bullshit, gay ass shit. You gotta fucking open up for Disturbed. You gotta play to people that like Disturbed." You know what? Like, Brett Hinds definitely still has some sort of mental issue after being battered by Chavo, because he just says things now, didn't he?
Well, I'm
He's
often,
like the dangerous uncle at the house party, New Year, and you're like, who's he going to offend next?
but here's the thing, right? So I think that I actually think you'll agree with me on this.
Okay.
I can't stand reporting like this where they won't just type the word. They've starred out the word, right?
Aye.
Because, all right, you could call gay a slur. I'll give you that. Gave you that. You definitely can't call ass a slur. So why have they blanked it out? And you were happy to say it. You were happy to say gay ass shit because we're quoting someone.
I'm happy to say it because not only we're quoting people, but we've kind of fostered a platform for ourselves where we can talk openly.
Yeah.
Neither of us are saying these things as slurs, and they're not being taken out of context for us to try and like attack anybody.
Sure.
I think the difference is that with it being printed media and it being NME, remember that being like a music magazine that's supposed to go out to everybody, they're maybe just trying to hedge their bets that there might be young people reading these stories.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily mean like 6 or 7 year olds, but
yeah, but here's the thing, isn't it? It's like they've put the G * A *. They've given you enough to work out what it means, right? Why not just put nothing there? Just all stars.
Because
or bracket slur removed.
Because they're trying to tell you what he said without saying it.
It's like saying the N-word. You know what? If I say you're a dirty N-word, that's just as bad as me saying it.
If you were saying that as a slur to someone, yeah. Because the implication in the context of the sentence is that you are using a slur. They're not using a slur. They are reporting.
But they're removing the word, so we don't know what it is, but we do know what it is. But if you don't know what it is, you're then going to go elsewhere to find out what it is. Like, just print the fucking word. Print the word.
Fair. I get where you're coming from. At the end of the day, they're reporting a story. It'd be good if they actually reported it with everything there.
They're just not protecting anyone's feelings because it's a story about the fucking thing that he said.
He followed up by saying that the festival crowd has just a fucking bunch of drunk Americans. I mean, they covered the word ass up there and I've just read fucking. Very good point. And Disturbed fans are receptive to anything, I imagine. He added that the band's first tour for metal band Relapse, where they played with death metal band Dying Fetus, was horrible. Can confirm, you lying bastard. Playing with Dying Fetus is great because they are fucking brilliant. Excuse me.
If it's not the music you're into, though, and he's not a metal guy.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Consequence has since reported that music writer Morgan E. Evans, or Y. Evans, then fucking hell. Consequence has since reported that music writer Morgan Y. Evans then commented on a recent Instagram post by Mastodon, in which drummer Brent is seen dressed as Judas Priest frontman Rob Halford for Halloween. They expressed that it was super crappy today to see you all over the press with a member using homophobic language to describe a tour with Disturbed. Did they have to comment that one on the picture of Brand dressed as Rob Halford because Rob is gay? Is that what they're trying to get at?
We got to link it together. You've got to.
So what you're saying is,
yeah. First, one of your band members says something that could be considered a homophobic slur.
And Brand hasn't said
not
anything
used in a homophobic slur context, and now one of your band members for Halloween has dressed up as a metal icon who happens to be gay. So this is more evidence that you're homophobes. It's a reach.
The band responded to their comment with a statement. This really bums me out, it reads. I'm very sorry we hurt your feelings.
Bums me out. I see what they're going for there. Continuing on with the homophobia. Disgusting. That'll be our next story.
Disgusting!
Sorry, carry on.
I'm very sorry we hurt your feelings or anyone else's. That is never our intention. We want our LGBTQ fans to feel safe listening to our music and coming to see us live. The band clarified that they have no ill will towards Disturbed and that the band were always super cool to us on the Mayhem tour. They also added that the interviewer might have caught Brent on a bad day. Really? Really?
No, I won't even go that. It was such a passing comment that he wouldn't have put any thought into. Like, we all have these aspects of our speech that we could probably do to improve upon, and things just slip out without any real intention. Like, every now and again, I will catch myself describing something as gay, and then afterwards I'll go, that actually sounds stupid when I say it. You know, my thought has already changed on the use of the word, and it's not a word that I'm avoiding using because I don't want to upset other people. Because when I say it, it just sounds dumb.
You grow out of it, but sometimes your brain goes back to that.
It just happens.
Habitual vernacular.
Yeah,
it does, and you're right. It's so stupid because it doesn't. There's no real definition when you call something that, like, oh, that's gay. Like, what do you mean? I don't actually know.
Yeah.
But I dare anybody to come into the comments and say they didn't or haven't done so.
Yeah.
You would be a fucking horrendous liar.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
we'll not get there. To crucify someone for something that we've all done, it's just, it's not cancel culture because they're not trying to cancel the band, but it's very much just that the virtue signally, like, let's all point at this person, all acknowledge that these people are bad. Mm-hmm. We're good, they're bad. You've all been bad. Everybody's been bad.
I like the fact that he's been challenged.
Yeah,
that is good. But the fact that like people have maybe made, like Morgan Y. Evans would then comment on that picture where it's actually Brand Taylor in the photo. Yeah. Like, Brand's not done anything wrong.
Yeah. And,
I get you're trying to hold Brent to account through the band and through a public image. Fair enough, right? It happens. Bit of a shitty way to get a reaction, but if you're not getting a reaction to start with, then maybe that's where you had to go with it. I don't know.
I will say that I do think it was pretty weak that the band issued a statement rather than Brent himself issuing a statement, and it's clearly not Brent that's writing the statement on behalf, as part of Mastodon, because they tried to imply what might have happened to Brent. They're speaking about him in the third person, so it isn't his statement. And to be honest, you know what? Here's the really scary thing, the really risky thing, because we know this sort of stuff happens. If somebody's on the fringe of having bad ideas, they don't hold bad ideas, but they could be persuaded towards having bad ideas. Everyone going after him publicly for saying gay could be the thing that pushes him towards going, you know what, actually, fuck you guys. Fuck you. Don't tell me what to say. Gay, gay, gay. You're all gay. Gay ass shit. Stop with all this gay ass shit, you bunch of gays. You know what I mean? Like, it can rile someone up and just turn them into someone that they're actually not.
Okay. You get their back up because you put them against the wall, or you kind of radicalise them by isolating them in that regard too.
Some people, like, in a scenario like this, can become very naturally very defensive and want to fight and go deliberately against.
I think Brent will forget he said it next week.
Yeah,
I don't mean that in any like horrible way. The guy is unstable since he had such serious injuries.
Yeah, that, I mean, to
nobody
be fair,
gets like big fucking spiky lines tattooed on the side of their face without having considered it might have an impact on how people think of them based on their image.
That is a gay ass tattoo. So
come on.
Yeah, I know. So I mean, I do have to say, from reading these couple of quotes describing the audience and describing Disturbed, this is clearly a man with no filter. Like, these aren't things that you say, certainly not to an interview, you know.
He does.
Yeah. So there we go. Let's move on and do this Yungblud story.
Another weird one, isn't it?
I don't know who Yungblud is, so
English, I would say rapper, but musician, whatever. Right. Seems to have got super popular without having. I'm saying this because I didn't know him, without having like workloads to get there. If you know what I mean. Right. You know how sometimes like pop artists just appear.
Yep.
But usually like rock bands and stuff build their way into somewhere. Youngblud's name just started appearing on fucking billboards and shit.
Sure.
At least in my mind. Maybe I completely got that wrong. But
So I'll read the story. Yungblud hits back at accusations of miming guitar performance. Yungblud has hit back at accusations that he mimed playing guitar at a concert. This is also from NME, actually. It's the second time we've used NME today, and maybe the second time ever in the show.
It's also the same reporter.
Okay. A Twitter user reposted a TikTok video on Wednesday, November 3rd, which shows Yungblud playing the guitar during a recent performance. The user tweeted, "Guitar's not even plugged in, for fuck's sake." Earlier today, Yungblud retorted with a series of tweets calling the user, and this is where things are a little bit mad, a bully who wants a little ounce of attention. Let's look at the clip first, because I think that's important. Give everybody some sort of context. I'm going to put no sound on it because it's not really relevant.
Which is relevant. We're talking about it being miming. The most relevant part being, imagine that the guitar is playing continuously for this full 45 seconds.
So I'm not going to play it because I don't want to risk the copyright strike. But the accusation that the tweet has made is guitar's not even plugged in, for fuck's sake. So that's his proof that he's miming here is the guitar is not plugged in. So I'm going to hit play on this and we'll talk. No one can hear that.
You just need to mute us for a second.
Yeah, he's not. He isn't playing this solo though. His other guitar player is playing the solo. You can see him playing this. But yeah, the accusation is that the guitar isn't even plugged in. You can very clearly see that there's a cable, and down here on his strap, which has fallen off, you can very clearly see that there is a wireless pack.
And at that point, the guitar is still doing the lead guitar part.
But as I said, he's not playing that lead guitar part. The guitarist here is playing the lead guitar part.
But he's
doubling the bass guitar part. This is what he says. What he has said. He seems very unstable, but I have to say, all I know about this guy is this one video. And when I watched this him performing, getting these moves on, he's a natural performer. I can see why people are a fan of him, because these moves. This is someone that's had some degree of dance training. No doubt in my mind. Like he's got moves, and I'm not interested in your music or anything like that because I'm an old man now. But
his image is somewhere between like grunge and Richard from Rammstein, I think.
Yes,
and maybe Robert Smith for The Cure.
Yeah, like I know what I know what you want to say. Like you want to say, listen to it. You want to say, see whether or not his guitar part appears or disappears, and we'll get into how he responds. For the rest of this story, I'm absolutely not going to take Yungblud's side, but I have to be as fair and logical as possible. When I'm dealing with an accusation, the accusation here that's been made by this guy on Twitter is simply guitar's not even plugged in, for fuck's sake. Like the guitar isn't plugged in, so that's evidence that you're miming. But that's misinformed. The guitar is plugged in. You can see that the guitar is plugged in. So let's see how this unwound then, though. I'll read these tweets.
Yes, so guitar's not even plugged, for fuck's sake, was the original tweet, which then is replied to by Yungblud, saying, "You are a bully who wants a little ounce of attention. Don't include me in your bullshit. This community's about love. Go plant a tree and stop talking bollocks. To whom it might concern, this is the first and last time I will ever explain myself, so listen up. It's a wireless pack which requires no wire, hence it's wireless." You're actually wrong there, Yungblud. It does need a wire. You still need to put the input cable from your transmitter into the guitar. But we'll no be semantics here. Secondly, I'm playing the guitar riff which doubles the bass line on the song and the high guitar an octave down. Fair enough. But he's no.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, man. How did they get a bit angry?
Oh yeah. This is why it's embarrassing. This is the first and last time I'll address it, and then he just keeps going. So
nice big thread. So in brackets, hence the lower A string and E string. I can finish playing it early to make the vocal because I'm covered by the bass. My strap broke and my guitar player Adam to the right of me is clearly playing the solo. Rather well, I might add. Thirdly, if anyone would like, I have my sound man bounce the audio of my guitar track from the show. I'll fucking mail it to you. I will forever back my app, and I shouldn't have to explain myself to anybody, but the internet's full of fucking morons, so here we go. Kiss. Cuddle, kiss, cuddle.
That is the most cringe tweet I've ever seen, because you won't, will you? I know that I could respond to this post now and say, cool, send it to me. Not because I think that you were miming, but because I think that you're lying about doing that.
And I think even more so, I don't actually give a fuck, because when Lucas Mann said the same thing, nobody cared then.
Yeah.
Prove it. I can prove it by giving you files that might not have been taken that night. I don't care. Actually, don't care. And his final reply is, P.S. Even if I did want to mime, I fucking could, because I'm the one on stage. I'm the one doing the show. And if you don't like it, you simply don't have to come. Be proud to be yourself and celebrate individuality. Never spread hate. It's so boring. Have a nice day.
But here's where we have a problem, you see. So Yungblud, although I don't know anything about him, he's verified on Twitter. He has 621,000 followers.
Mm-hmm.
The person that he has that has had the nerve to make fun of him has 300 followers on Twitter. Someone with 600,000+ followers on Twitter is in no position to call someone with 300 followers a bully. Okay. It's insignificant. The fact that he has got your attention being so insignificant is fucking embarrassing, mate. And the thing that makes this even worse for you and for your ilk of fans is that you talk about never spread hate. Well, what do you think is going to happen when you, someone with 600,000 followers, tweets and calls a small channel a bully? Well, I'll tell you what, shall we? Let's go on this gentleman's Twitter and let's look through his posts, and you're going to see that he's constantly doing his best to highlight how he's being bullied by how he's actually being attacked by Yungblud fans. So here's someone making fun of the way he looks, and there's definitely a post on here with someone drawing attention to the fact that people have hunted him down on Facebook and they've been going after him on Facebook. He doesn't seem to be all that bothered by it, because at the end of the day you shouldn't be bothered by it, but it is exhausting when hundreds of people, thousands of people go after you. We went after Rob Chapman collectively as a community when he did this to KDH.
Mm-hmm.
We always do our best to stand up and say this isn't the right way to deal with this when stuff like this happens. It doesn't matter. The miming accusation now is irrelevant. It just doesn't matter. The way that this has been dealt with is not the right way to fucking do things, right? If you don't like what this kid's got to say, just don't fucking comment. Don't draw attention to it, and don't call someone a bully and say that we're about spreading love, not hate, to your audience who are clearly fucking teenagers who will take on board and jump to your defense at any possible opportunity in order to earn your approval. And you've clearly shown people that you will give them approval, because this person has 300 followers on Twitter. You watched their video and then responded to it, right? So from your fans' perspective, oh, well, if you responded to this person with 300 followers, maybe you'll respond to me if I fight for you. It's disgusting. To me, the stuff like this is disgusting. Guys out there watching this podcast, don't ever do this for me. Under no circumstances, right? I can fight my own fucking battles. If someone wants to come after me on the internet, by all means, draw it to my attention and then let me fucking deal with it. But the last thing I need is someone else going and fighting my battles for me, because I don't need you to go after people on my behalf. It's just not a good thing to do. It's not a good look. Yungblud, I have no interest in listening to your music, and I have no interest in you as a person, because you appear to be a shitty human based on what you've done here. Mike?
I wasn't prepared for that rant, if I'm honest, but it was good. I like it. I feel like maybe I jumped into it myself and got baited a wee bit by thinking, oh, well, he's fucking miming that, so he's clearly not playing it. I also don't think he's playing the riff.
Right.
Maybe he was before. Maybe he is playing it there, but it's very showmany to then not hear mad mistakes and fretting noise and him clearly hitting the pickups with his hand as he's swinging guitar about and his wireless pack crackling and all that other shit.
Yeah.
So maybe he was playing it and the guitar was switched off. I don't know.
Yeah.
The clarification is the guy at the side of him, who I never even spotted before, clearly playing the solo. Fair enough. But I don't give a fuck either. I just thought it was a really interesting article to see someone have a bit of a bitch fit online and turn it a total...
When he started playing this solo and started making disastrous amounts of noise, for all we know, the sound man then muted him. Like, maybe that's part of what his sound crew do. Like, anytime he goes off on one like this, like, let's make sure that we're riding the faders to make sure that it's not ruining the show. Because you're absolutely right. When he does go into that and he's flying around the stage, he's putting on a performance, and like I say, he's doing it good. Like, he's good to watch. I'll give him that. He's good to watch, and he does it also unbelievably naturally. Like, that strap coming off, you couldn't have planned that. It just happened, right? But then him so naturally throwing the guitar to his tech and then continuing on with the vocal. It's all so well executed that props need to be given to someone that can do that as naturally as he's done it there. But yeah, all that aside, calling someone with 300 followers on Twitter a bully is embarrassing. It's like when people... I take issue with it because I've had literally thousands of Stevie T fans come after me and call me a bully because I had the nerve to criticise Stevie T, someone with millions of followers on YouTube. I'm bullying them.
Actual evidenced bully.
Yeah.
We'll just put that out there because there's no speculation there. He's an evidenced bully.
Yeah.
Whether he's apologised or not. Not to say we don't give people another chance, but that doesn't change the fact that it happened.
Let's go off on a slight side note. I wanted to do this at the start of the show, actually, and then completely forgot. Pat Martino died this week.
Mm-hmm.
We are primarily a metal-based podcast, which is bizarre to me because I don't listen to any metal. I do, from time to time I do, and gym time is metal time. You know what I mean? that's all well and good. I still have a love for lots and lots of genres outside of the stuff that we're likely to talk about on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I can't not talk about Pat Martino dying, though. Big fan of Pat Martino. I did some Pat Martino transcriptions on YouTube a couple of months ago. I certainly referenced him on the podcast a few times because I'd recently fallen back in love with some of his earlier recordings. And I think this is the first time in my life someone that I really admire as a musician has died. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because a lot of the music I listen to is old, so most of the people that I really like are already dead.
Okay, I get you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And while some famous people from bands have, like Jeff Hanneman died, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Hanneman was never a hero of mine.
Fair.
I've never been a big Slayer fan, so I couldn't think of anybody from bands that I was a huge fan of that died. I don't want to. It sounds really dramatic for me to say this, but Pat Martino dying hit me really hard, and I was surprised by how hard it hit me. I was sad. I sat on the couch and didn't know what to do. I just played Far Cry and put some Pat Martino on, and just felt really sad.
I didn't realise that, mate. I'm sorry.
I mean, that sounds that's a bit of a gay ass comment. You
really need to stop leaning into this, man. You are going to get cancelled.
I welcome it.
I'm going to cancel you.
The last thing I want to do is be on the internet guitar scene anymore. So if people could cancel me, it'd be the easiest fucking way out, wouldn't it? I thought
Levi
maybe
plays his slurs on the internet live tonight.
I thought like constantly
hosted
talking about
by the
piano.
KKK or whatever. Fucking God knows, man.
I thought talking about the piano would just have people naturally turn off my content, but it still hasn't quite worked yet. So if I just start with the slurs, I think that'll get rid of people. I'm kidding, of course.
I hope.
Yeah, I just for my entire life I've been preparing for Ozzy Osbourne to die because that's the one that I think was going to happen and was the one that was going to really hit me.
And it'll never happen.
No, it won't. He'll outlive me. At least that's what I hope. So
feels that way.
Yeah, Pat Martino.
Not you, him. Because it sounded like I was like casting fucking hatred and death on you.
Yeah.
I've never really listened to any Pat Martino, which is probably shocking. I know the name.
Yeah. Well, you can, of course, Rick Beato jumping in on the fucking clickbaity title, picture of Pat Martino, this musician stunned me, and it's mostly just clips of him listening to the instructional video, which I will also point out. I have to hand. Didn't go and get it for the thing. That's been there for weeks because I was, as I say, transcribing this just recently. So, Rick just going, while listening to Pat's lines. Pat's great. Pat really is great. My recommendations would be to go and check out the album We'll Be Together Again. I really like that album. It's just guitar and electric piano. There's a really, really nice rendition of Sending the Clowns on there. Just a really nice kind of zone out album that you can just fall back into and really enjoy. Pat's an interesting guy. Pat, I was going to say the age. I'm not sure on how old he was. Pat suffered a brain aneurysm midway in his career. In like 76 or something like that. Oddly, after he released an album called Exit, and that took him out of music. When he came around from his brain aneurysm, he didn't know how to play music anymore. He didn't know anything about music anymore. He had to relearn how to play. He had to learn all about music again. Yeah, just absolutely, really, really inspiring the amount of work that Pat's put in, and he's done a lot of really, really great work. So sad to see Pat go. That's a shame, but
that is an insane story. To be fair, man, that's no wonder people revere him so much.
Yeah, just a stunning player. So go and check out some of his music. He's great. I should also note, on the note of stories that aren't really Guitar Souls related, but things that I like to talk about. The new Rhodes piano has finally come out, and I got my I didn't pre-order one, but I got the invite to pre-order one and the custom options on it. Starting price is £6,800.
Hold me back.
No, thank you.
That's fucking lunacy.
£6,800. That's just for the basic looking one. Like I spec'd out one the way I'd want it to look, and it was about £8,800. Like that's just no, thank you. It's just I've got a Nord keyboard here. Like, sure, you would imagine that a real Rhodes made by the Rhodes company will probably sound better. But like 1% better.
Surely you could pick up an actual original Rhodes up for much less than that.
You can pick up like an original or a vintage Rhodes for kind of the £3,000 to £4,000 mark.
Oh, there's much as that still. Wow.
Yeah, but they will probably require
the right person to do the right things.
some fix-ups,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Because they are I was going to describe them as acoustic instruments. They're not. Let's try that again. They're analog instruments. They produce their sound in an analog way, and therefore those things are subject to degradation over time.
They're manual instruments, not automatic.
Yeah. Here's a fun fact for you, though. Fun fact for me, probably not for anyone else. I was reading a book last night on organs, right? And
I think they call them porno mags, mate.
on the Hammond organ, there was a tone
Who's
wheel,
Hammond?
a tone wheel based organ that was made before the Hammond organ, the telharmonium, I believe it was called, something like that. Anyway, this thing was made an electric keyboard instrument, electric organ instrument. This thing was made decades before amplification was a thing. Imagine being the lunatic that comes up with a way of creating, an electronic organ sound, but there being no way to actually amplify it. So what they did at the time was they would connect it up to like telephone lines and things like that, and you could have it play over telephone lines to people.
If there's an electric organ that makes sound in the past, but there's no amps around for anyone to hear it, does it make a sound?
Does it make a terrible sound? And the answer is probably yes. I thought that was bizarre. The other thing I learned from that is Lawrence Hammond, who made the Hammond organ, and John Leslie, who made the Leslie speaker. Lawrence Hammond was much like Leo Fender. Leo Fender was an electrician, and that was all he cared about, the electrician side of things. Leo Fender famously didn't play the guitar. So it makes sense, actually, when you look at the Telecaster, that it can be improved upon, because Leo wasn't a guitar player. He couldn't design the perfect guitar. He did amps, and then he did guitars and things,
You know fine well that if you were to say anybody on this planet, probably except me, that you could improve on the Telecaster, they would agree with you in the sense that you can't.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
You got it right first time.
John Leslie, when he made the Leslie speaker, offered the technology to Hammond and gave him a licensing option on it, and gave him 30 days to take them up on the licensing for it. And that was turned down because Lawrence Hammond hated the Leslie speaker, didn't like the way it sounded, didn't like what it did, because he wasn't a musician. He didn't get it. All he heard as an engineer was, this takes the sound that I've made, which is this perfectly pure tone, and then does all this warbly shit over the top of it. Couldn't hear it from the perspective of what a musician would do or something like that. So they were bitter rivals for a long time.
That's strange, isn't it?
Yeah. These two instruments that go hand in hand, and you wouldn't dream of having one without the other. Hated each other.
Insanity.
So there you go. There's the Pianobs. There's the first little mini episode of Pianobs. back to Guitar Souls. The greatest guitarist of all time has been named.
Music Radar, why do you need to do this? Why do you need to do this?
Yeah.
So the way they've worked this out is, after 3 eras of voting, your guitar goat is revealed, and the top 10 placement is surprising.
Is it?
It's not. Number 1 is, as you would have fucking guessed, Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. The ultimate goat. Don't think so. Jeff Beck at number 2, also don't think so. Eddie Van Halen at number 3, don't think so. Number 4 at Jimmy Page, don't think so. Number 5, Joe Bonamassa, don't think so. Number 6, Dave Gilmour, don't think so. Number 7, Martin Knopfler, don't think so. Number 8, Stevie Ray Vaughan, don't think so. Number 9, Prince, also don't think so. Number 10, don't think so either, because there is no greatest. We have said over and fucking over, not a competition.
Yeah.
But if the headline was the highest rated over however much time, these are consistently the highest rated.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But the greatest guitarist of all time. Stop with the clickbait shitty headlines.
I'm going to go with a controversial one on this. Prince was an amazing musician. He was an artist with an incredible vision. He played so many instruments and played them all so well. The one that he played, his funk rhythm guitar was fantastic, but I would say that the one that he probably shouldn't have played as much as he did was the guitar. I think that Prince's lead guitar work is average at best.
That's fair. I think people see him as the guitar hero because he had broke the mainstream so much, and he was it wasn't like a band with a great guitarist.
Yeah.
It was Prince.
Yeah.
Just fair. I also don't think he's a terrible guitarist, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
See, when I hear Prince playing guitar, it just puts me in mind of somebody 60s or 70s gone wild on a synthesizer.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like the most technical or the fanciest or the flashiest, but just expressing.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah, just kind of going for it. because it.
Even the guitar tone's a bit
What is
that
it?
way.
Yeah, the greatest guitarist of all time named. Like, I'm going to throw a name out here though. I'm not actually even a massive fan of his music. I respect him. I think he's a great player. George Benson. Yeah, George Benson is a better guitar player than everybody on this list, but he doesn't even come close to making the list. Why? Because this isn't about who's the greatest. It's about who's the most popular. So, Music Radar, jog on.
Yes, that was a terrible headline. You silly sausages.
Let's do this one.
That's a terrible headline as well, to be fair. Travis Scott's Astroworld. 8 killed after crowd surge at Texas Festival. This was
Yikes.
just yesterday. This is a fucking brutal one, isn't it?
Yeah.
At least 8 people have died and scores of people have been hurt after a crowd surge on the opening night of a music festival in Houston, Texas. Panic broke out after the crowd began to press towards the front of the stage at rapper Travis Scott's Astroworld Festival, emergency officials said. 11 people were taken to hospitals in cardiac arrest and 8 died. Some casualties were aged as young as 10. Some 50,000 people attended the outdoor event, which has been cancelled. Has it been cancelled, or was it completely had to be abandoned because people were dying? Lena Hidalgo, the county judge of Harris County, described what had happened as an extremely tragic night. Sorry, excuse me. Our hearts are broken, she said. People go to these events looking for a good time, a chance to unwind, to make memories. It's not the kind of event you go to where you expect to find out about fatalities.
Well, it certainly made some memories.
For some people. Astroworld said in a statement that their hearts were with the festival family, especially those that were lost and their loved ones, and they thanked local emergency services for the response. The incident began around 9:15 on Friday night. Houston Fire Chief Samuel Pena said the crowd began to compress towards the front of the stage and people began to panic, he told reporters. As the crush began causing injuries to people, the panic grew, the official said. According to the Houston Chronicle, Travis Scott, who founded the festival, stopped multiple times during the 75-minute performance when he spotted fans in distress near the front of the stage. The rapper asked security to make sure they were okay and help him out of the crowd. Emergency vehicles, lights and alarms flashing cut through the crowd several times, the paper said.
I'm going to stop there. I do find this fascinating, legitimately fascinating, because not from a morbid curiosity perspective, but I'd love to be there to really understand how something like this happens. Because I have seen people talking about, why didn't you have adequate fire marshals? There were clearly too many people, etc., etc. But I just have to, the gig that you did yesterday, 1,500 people watching you, right? If the people on the front row, if the people behind them just wanted to crush them to death, I'm sure they could do that. I'm sure there's enough people to just compress someone against a... This only happens when just human control and human decency disappears.
You're right, and the problem is, you've been to festivals, you've been to shows and standing. People behind continually minimise the space between you and other people.
Yeah.
Whether they mean to do it or not, stand in front of you, stand behind you, push people forward, people adjust themselves. Unless everybody gives each other a bit of personal space and doesn't try to rush the front, usually you're safe from that. But all it would maybe take is a couple of people who maybe fall or start the inertia for that to happen in a crowd, for it to become really bad. And have you never been in a pit or whatever, or a crowd where people fall over and how quickly everybody has to switch on to get people off the ground safely?
Well, my logic there is so you don't stamp on people.
But of course, you don't want to be standing on empty. Sure. You don't want people to be stood on. I've been in plenty of crowds where I've not even been in the pit or whatever, and it gets so badly congested or moves so quickly in terms of the shift of balance. I found myself falling, and the first thing you do when you're falling, because you're surrounded by people, is you grab on, trying to keep yourself up.
Yeah.
Everybody starts collapsing that way. If that happens up at the barrier, and I have been on the barrier and basically had my ribs crushed. Talking about 50,000 people there.
Yeah.
Very easily, without people maybe 20, 30 people deep realising, could be killing people at the front. And it's crowd control, but how do you mitigate that if you're just... It's not as if this is a common thing. People do get uncomfortably crushed, people do get hurt, but it's not very often you end up with a crush that kills 8 and hospitalises others.
That's why I say I kind of wish I was there to understand what really happened here, because why isn't this something that happens everywhere? What was different about this?
It could be, and I'm not being stupid here, but the size and the scope of the festival and the artist. Travis Scott did a live gig on fucking Fortnite that people attended online.
Right. Okay.
So you can imagine the crowd appeal. When I saw Rage Against the Machine in Finsbury Park, they stopped their set about 8 times because they continually said, if you don't stop pushing each other and hurting each other against the barriers and stuff, we're walking off.
Yeah.
You want to have fun and bounce and have a good time, that's great. You want to try and get as close as you can, that's great. But if you keep pushing forward, you're going to crush people. Like, telling the full stage, getting the lights up and stuff, and saying to everybody on the crowd, like, step back 2 steps, everybody at the same time. So I can see why it happens.
Sure. Because people are dumb. People are animals. Humans are a virus.
Aye. We're definitely dumb and we're definitely animals, because it's shown that is it crowd bias or decision making bias?
Yeah.
Where you'll just follow other people's judgments, even without potentially questioning it.
Yeah. I would happily say I'm confidently immune from playing a part in this, because I don't like people.
Aye.
I don't like being around. Well, I don't mind being around people. I don't like touching people. So in a scenario like this, if someone's behind me and they push me and it happens enough, they're getting belted, and no one in front of me is going to get pushed, because I'm not going to push people. I'm not going to touch people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get out of a space if I'm if my personal boundaries are being invaded that much. You would also, and it kind of comes back to this fan mail that I was engaging in earlier via email with was Phil, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The dreaded COVID subject again. Fucking personal space, people.
Mm-hmm.
If there's one thing that we should have learned in the last fucking 2 years, have a little bit of fucking personal space.
I can't really comment on that, considering I played at a festival yesterday and we had quite a lot of people in the crowd. But the festival guidelines were essentially there is no mask mandate and there's no COVID passport.
Was there no COVID passport?
No, but what they said is
maximum. There was 3,000 people.
Something like that.
Okay.
So they didn't have to with the guidelines, but basically what they said is, obviously, don't be a dick. Test before you come. If you have any symptoms, don't come.
Yeah. If you have any symptoms, don't come. If you've bought a ticket to this thing and you find out on the day that you might have COVID, just write off the lot. Just accept the fact that you're not you've lost that money. There's just I'm sure people are gonna do that.
You'd like to think the greater good would stand, but
no. Nah. People are more selfish than that. So
yes, they are.
Yeah, so people, actually, fair point. Probably a lot of people got COVID at that gig last night.
Maybe me too.
Much like I was kind of saying in emails to Phil, like this, and what we were saying on the show last time, every time we leave the house, we are all taking risk, and we all have a line of what we deem to be an acceptable level of risk for us personally to take.
Set your own boundaries.
I'm fine to go and do gigs with Melissa, but at the same time, like Tesseract played in Edinburgh, supporting Bullet for My Valentine last week. Yeah, and this week they're supporting Trivium in I think it's tonight actually. Oh no, maybe, I don't know. They're supporting Trivium in Glasgow, and I want to go and see Tesseract with Melissa. I absolutely want to go and see Tesseract with Melissa, but that would be, in my mind, too much risk. That's a level of risk I wouldn't be happy with. Being in the room full of those people is not, that's beyond my own sense of personal risk. So we've all got our own level of personal risk, and it seems that this particular concert, people's level of personal risk was non-existent. They're just like, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Definitely when it comes to COVID, unfortunately people died as well. So really horrible to hear when festivals don't go well. Sometimes it's funny when it's just logistical things, like when we spoke about Firefest, people thinking that because they're the elite they can have the elite and being essentially defrauded. I'm not schadenfreude, but I'd rather punch upwards than downwards.
Sure.
If I'm going to give it context. People dying at a gig isn't the same thing.
No.
This one I found really interesting, and I'm guessing that's why you've kept it as like the kind of last topic.
I don't know why I kept this at the last topic. There is actually, I'm just going to throw this out there, it's a kind of a callback to something I said in the last episode. There is a Joe Bonamassa story this week. He has released a guitar course, but actually I've decided we're not going to talk about that, because we're going to drop a Joe Bonamassa story every single week. We're not talking about him. Sorry, Joe.
We're going to drop the story every week. We've got a story about Joe Bonamassa.
We're not going to tell you about it. Can't be bothered to make time for it.
We're going to Duncan Bannatyne it. Great story, great pitch. I love it, and that's why I'm out.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about Joe Bonamassa because he doesn't seem hugely relevant to us or the subjects that we like talking about. So let's talk about Adele.
I think we should let Joe Bonamassa endorse the podcast and send you and I a Dumble each. Come on, Joe. You've got enough.
Therein lies the problem. When we actually do start talking about Joe Bonamassa, it's because he's sent us something. Because that's the only way it's happening now.
Shields, 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 shields.
Yes.
We'll turn up covered in gold and all the rest of it.
Pay me.
So anyway,
pay me. Guitar Souls on. Buy me a coffee. That's the one I remembered.
Good try. So this was posted 4 days ago, and we previously spoke about vinyls and demand for vinyls recently, over the last year and a bit, because we spoke about, really, do we see the value in it personally? Is it something that's going to have a boom? Is it a real collectible? Is it going to last forever?
So bizarre to me, the idea of vinyl. It's so bizarre.
It's like a hark back to dead technology, because there is a personal, I don't even know how to put it, like rose-tinted glasses effect with it.
Yeah.
Like a real nostalgia of, I think it sounds better. I was thinking of this the other day, right? I know we're steering away for the fucking story again quite quickly, but when people talk about vinyl sounding better, I genuinely think what they mean by that is the recordings didn't have the frequencies all balanced out, so the guitars would cut out X, so the bass is more space to fit, so it sounded a bit more round, if you know what I mean. Like, there's been less manipulation in terms of EQ, but also on top of that, the things that people like about vinyl, the pops and the hissies and all of that, it's just noise floor. I reckon if we recorded something, right, say you and I recorded something and tried to make it sound old, in the sense of maybe sounding like it was going to be on vinyl, I think the easiest way for us to go about it would be record something at a fairly decent quality, hi-fi style, like plenty of range in it, and then just max the gain on your microphone in the room and record one white noise track under it. You set that to the right volume and you'll probably get the same characteristics.
Yeah, so that's an interesting idea. I kind of want to go on YouTube now. I'm not going to do it, and I'd like to do it after the show, but I know I'm going to forget. I'd be very, very surprised if somebody hasn't done like blind tests of, here's an old Miles Davis recording. Can you hear the difference? Having someone sitting there, and can you hear the difference between me playing it to you on a record and me playing it to you on a high quality stereo? I'd be very surprised if there aren't videos like that. And again, I'd also be very surprised if people can consistently tell the difference.
Yeah.
So
I still love the James Randi one where it was talking about the cables. What about these gold-plated monster cables versus the cheap ones? And we'll A/B test them with all these experts.
Yeah.
Not one of them got it right because it was neither. It was soldered together, shitty metal fucking coat hangers that they had repurposed.
Just as an additional on what you were saying there, it's weird because while I don't get the vinyl thing, when it comes to Melissa's merch, she has no CDs, and I'm constantly like, it just seems like the best thing for us to stock up on. We could spend £500 and make sure you've got loads of CDs in stock, so when we go to gigs, you've got easy merch for people to buy. But I just don't know if people would buy CDs anymore. I just think that while I'm happy to argue vinyl is a dead medium, it's a dead medium in terms of how easy it is for you to enjoy the content. I think it's probably an easier sell right now to sell people a bit of vinyl than it is to sell them a CD. So
I think it's just as much of that actually as the fact that the market is screaming out for it. People seem to be on it like it's the new trend. I suppose we should start the story.
Yeah.
Adele's 30 sends vinyl pressing plants into overdrive while LP shortages leave many artists chasing pavements. And that's a wee Adele nod because her first single that was popular was Chasing Pavements.
Right.
Good tune, by the way. I'm not really a big Adele fan. Sources report more than 500,000 copies of Adele's LP have been pressed to meet demand amid the vinyl boom. That required meeting early deadlines amid shortages and overtaxed plants that leave many artists waiting in line 9 months.
That is an astonishing amount of records to produce, because you know full well that in this day and age, artists celebrate if they sell 30,000 copies of their album on opening week. To have 500,000 copies of just vinyl pressed, this album is set to be big.
500,000 dead media. Adele may be immune to many of the mortal concerns that trouble musical non-deities, but there's one thing she has in common with the most modest indie rocker. She had to finish her forthcoming album 30 early if she wanted vinyl available on the same day the release hit streaming services. And these days, almost everybody does.
I'm just going to have to interrupt on this because you said a dead medium, and actually the idea of me of like 500,000 copies of this album on vinyl, relevant with COP26 happening in Glasgow, seems like a massive, massive boon on the environment. 500,000 copies of this album on vinyl. What is that doing to the environment versus those same 500,000 people consuming it digitally. All I'm saying is,
yeah, we're not doing great for the planet. But
yeah, I guess vinyl probably doesn't end up in the
however.
sea. So
You sure? You hope?
I would hope, yeah.
Yeah, you'd hope. Toxic Garbage Island, as Gojira put it. Plastic bag in the sea. What a lyric. While the company declined official comment, Sony Music sources tell Variety that more than 500,000 vinyl copies of 30 have been manufactured in the months leading up to the album's November 19th release, with the company pushing catalogue titles off its overseas pressing plants to ensure there won't be any shortage of Adele's LP going into the holidays.
I guess we are going into the Christmas season as well, so
But
there are going to be a lot of middle-aged women that get Adele's 30 for Christmas this year.
more than 500,000 before the album is even released on one medium, and that's the niche medium that it's going to come out on.
Yeah.
Sorry to go back into the saying that the pressing plants were pushed along, so there's not any shortages. To do that, for an album that will probably immediately break initial vinyl sales records, the artist had to turn in 30 more than 6 months ago. Any later, and Adele would have been subject to the manufacturing shortages and overbooked pressing plants that have essentially turned almost every new LP release into a limited edition.
I'm kind of hoping with this that, again, 500,000 is just a ridiculous amount. I would be surprised if the albums, if it was available on CD or digital download, was going to do 500,000 copies in this day and age. But vinyl is so specialty. I am hoping that Adele's 30 becomes our generation's E.T. on Atari. I would hope that there are so many unsold copies of this that they're just being buried in a desert somewhere at some point.
A hidden spot that people are not allowed to know about.
Yeah, and 40 years from now, people are going to be digging up copies of Adele's 30 on vinyl.
Aye, and digging out their vinyl players because I've not used one of these in years.
What a fucking record player. No one's used one of these in 80 years. But this album was made 40 years ago. Yeah, I know. That's what makes it even fucking stranger.
See, like, in the future, how strange is it going to look that we've had all these, like, progressing technologies that make it more convenient, better quality and whatever else? Like, if a future generation starts to analyse that, or even, like a different race or species or whatever, starts analysing, check the history of this, these humans, they made this, they made better things, and then went back to that one.
They're just absolute slaves to consumerism. And I'm all about that consumerism, buddy. Like, I love buying stuff, right?
We also love to be the cool, new, interested, on top of it person. I am at the forefront of that. And which is an odd paradigm to be in when you're talking about going back in time to using vinyl.
I'm just scanning through this to see if there's anything actually, other than the initial story that we've kind of talked about there. I think it's kind of rehashing the thing that we've already talked about. I think we've really summarised the story there. The fact that Adele's album has been done for 6 months just so she could make sure that the vinyl release was going to be out there in time. And then we're laughing about how crazy it is that there's this perceived demand for vinyl.
I think, but there must be. And it's not even a perceived demand. We were talking about how there's a vinyl shortage and how plants are like over manufacturing about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So, how bad is it if this has been going on for 6 months for one artist? They know how bad it is. They've not said anything until now because they've got what they needed printed.
Yeah.
How many other people are out there absolutely fucking dying to get in or squeezing the life out of factories just to make a bit of extra money? Yeah. And then as you talk about the sustainability of it, it's obviously not sustainable.
It's definitely a strange one. It is a very, very, very strange one that there's all this demand for vinyl and yet we don't have the ability to produce it. And, for all of you've got all these companies out there producing vinyl records for people. What's our capability of producing people that, systems to play vinyl on? Surely that's even more niche. I would love to see the stats of how many people out there collect vinyl or buy vinyl and actually don't even have a way of playing it.
I think the hardest thing to source these days is actually good needles for them. Audio Technica do a USB one that's like 100 odd quid.
Right.
That's probably the best you would get in terms of if you went wanted to join at entry level. Totally can't speak today. I'm sorry.
It seems bizarre. So you want an entry level record player to play your record on because that's going to somehow sound better than the digital version. I would imagine the digital version through whatever you're currently listening to music through will probably sound better than a vinyl through the cheapest record player that you're able to get your hands on.
Totally. But I don't think it's necessarily about quality. It's people having the nostalgia of, but it pops and hisses and you need to turn it after 2 songs. Okay.
Yeah.
And you get to put the needle in that wee groove.
Yeah.
Right? All right, okay.
Yeah, and the fear as you go to put the needle down that you don't accidentally shift over a little bit and put a massive fucking scratch in your record.
Or if you're a right Tory, you've got one of the ones where you just click the handle and it lifts itself and sits down.
The dream.
I need to stop using Tory like a slur.
I know. Yeah. What's actually going to happen is years from now, Enemy are going to be writing stories about you and blurring out the fact that you said Tory.
Disgraced shock rocker Mike McLaughlin and new slur allegations.
Yeah, constant slur allegations. So yeah, I mean, I really think that's all there is to really say in this story. Plus, we've been going for an hour and 20 minutes, so no need to make it longer than it needs to be. So, did you know? This show is brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. We want to remind you guys that there is still time to get involved in the upcoming Run 16 guitars. Those include these incredible hypes available in 5 new colours. That Dragon Burst is absolutely stunning. You can also get your hands on one of the Metal X's, again available in a range of finishes. My personal pick has to be these headless V's, absolutely outrageously cool. Imagine one of those in an 8-string, I absolutely love these. And finally, the Ando San signature model, available in 6, 7 and 8-string availability. Go and check them out at Ormsby's website right now. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Rev Amplification, a one-stop shop for all of your tonal needs. Head on over to their website to check out their range of lunchbox amplifiers, both the D20 and G20, 20-watt amplifiers with built-in 2-notes torpedo technology so you can record direct into your computer. If that doesn't suit, you can also check out one of their highly popular G2, 3 and 4 pedals, giving you that trademark Rev tone in a stomp box. Incredible tones, I use these myself. And finally, you may notice in the back of these videos a Rev Generator 120, an absolute masterclass in modern electric guitar tones. Check it out at their site now. So as always, a huge thanks to our friends and family over at both Ormsby Guitars and Rev Amplification. Thankfully, those guys aren't producing vinyl, so it's easy for them to get guitars to you.
The only vinyl I want's the one that wraps on the cab.
I need to do a new video for Ormsby and Rev, because the Ormsby video certainly talks about the last run of guitars, but of course you can now go and buy the GTIs.
They've just been launched last week, that's right.
Yeah, and the prices on those are great, so go and check out the GTI series, which is the hypes with Evertunes.
I was going to ask for a GTI, but I actually felt pretty cheeky about it, considering how hotly anticipated they are.
I mean, I was going to say, as far as they were concerned, it may not have been the case, but I'm sure it was. As far as they were concerned, I had pigeon marked one of them for me.
Aye.
And then I said, actually, I don't want it. So you shouldn't have felt bad about taking one.
No, it was when I was thinking, I didn't really know what I wanted anyway, but I was thinking like the GTIs are cool as anything. And then my other thought process was like, in all sincerity, and I know that sounds probably a bit of a daft thing, like I don't think I would be utilising Evertune all that much.
No, I have to jump in and say that while the Goliath is a great choice for you for party cannon because it's lightweight and easy to take places, I actually think an Evertune for you would be fucking glorious. Not having to worry about your guitar going out of tune at all. Just knowing your tuning is going to be consistent. And you've got a 7-string with the fan frets. I think that's...
Having to set it up,
mate,
to start with.
Easiest thing in the world to set up.
Is that why we drove all the way down for John to do it?
No, we drove all the way down for John to put it in the guitar.
But he set it up as well, did he not?
Yeah, but he set it up. It wasn't like, do you want me to set this up, because you might not know how to set it up. They're so easy to set up because you have one Allen key and it does all 3 of the things: intonation, action and tuning. And such a great design. I actually was messaging Herbert, the guy over at Evertune, earlier in the week, because I sold my 8-string to the guy in the States. I sent him the guitar, didn't send him the fucking tuning key for it. So I messaged Herbert, I was like, where can I get him one from really fast? In the end, it was easiest for me to just send him one from here, because I'm a fucking idiot. But I had to say to Herbert that it really pleases me no end how popular the Evertune is now, because back when I first got my Evertune and I'd been dealing with the guys at Evertune, I was banging my head against a wall in like how to explain to people how great a piece of kit this is,
Mhm.
and people just not getting it. And it was because of guys like Misha Mansour, and it was because of guys like John Brown, who they all played one and were like, and John still hasn't changed his mind on it, to be fair, but you know, Misha had one and it wasn't set up well, and everybody played it, and then word got around on that scene that, oh, that Evertune is pretty shit actually, and it was really just that Misha taking care of the guitar was the problem, because as we now know, he has guitars available with Evertunes on. This opinion of Evertunes being shit is one that has just completely gone out the window, and now it just seems to be the fucking thing that everyone just accepts. If you are serious about recording guitar at home, make sure you've got a guitar with an Evertune kicking around, because it's a great piece of kit. It is a great piece of kit, and the Ormsby is an excellent place to go and get one. And that feels like a plug. Of course, it is a plug, but genuinely at the price, I think they're like $1,500 for the hype with the Evertune in. Such a great price. It really is a
cheap
great
as that?
price.
Are you sure?
Yeah, relatively certain on that. I'll double check. In fact, I posted it up in the Discord server just a couple of days ago. Yep.
$14.79.
Yeah, so even
Oh my
cheaper.
goodness,
Even cheaper.
that's
It's the wrong screen, but no, that works. It's just my face then. Hang on.
don't cut me out.
No, not guitar and face. Screen and face. There we go. Yeah, $14.79. That, and I will point out that's Australian dollars. That's fucking Australian dollars.
That's
$14.79. That is, what's that in pounds? Hazard a guess.
800.
Yeah,
810.
That is
What a fucking good guess, by the way.
That's a ridiculously cheap price. You're going to have to pay shipping on that, which, again, isn't going to be the worst thing in the world. But you can also get it on the fucking interest-free payments. Like, honestly, I cannot get my head around how Perry has managed to do these for these prices. It's absolutely fucking outrageous.
Exotic tops are 1,600, so you pay an extra £100.
7-string. No more for a 7-string. It's such a good price, and it is such a good looking guitar. This is what I was going to go for.
The Red Dead.
Just such a stunning guitar.
I like the exotic black. That definitely caught my eye.
So I guess we'll have to stay with Ormsby. Well, we plan to stay with Ormsby forever, right? But next time, mate, that's what you need. Because look at it. Absolutely beautiful. My only drawback with these, and it's always going to be this way with an Evertune, is when it comes to headstocks on guitars like these, I'm so like, wow, it's just so unnecessary, because I love the Goliath so much. So
it's a hard place to be, isn't it? Like that balance.
Yeah, it's unnecessarily bulky, which sounds ridiculous because all my guitars are unnecessarily bulky. I literally only have I have 2 headless guitars, but yeah, generally speaking, I just look at things with a headstock and I'm like, well, does that really need to be there? With an Evertune, it absolutely does. Anyway, yeah, so please do go and check out the new Ormsby GTIs. Let them know we sent you. In fact, let us know if you see one that you fancy, and if you pick one up, please do let us know. Share some pictures. Send it to GsolesFanMail@gmail.com. Please do go check us out on Buy Me a Coffee. You can check out our T-Souls. That should be a thing. Our G-Souls Teespring account, where you can pick up Guitar Souls merchandise. All great ways to support everything that we're doing here. Anything you want to add?
Sorry that I've been worse than a man down today.
Nah, you've been great today.
Thanks, mate.
Nice and chatty.
I feel as if this is engaging way before my brain does. So
we're approaching the 1.5-hour mark, and I've had to hurry the show to an end. I think that
it's a good sign.
If I hadn't done that, we'd just be talking and talking and talking, and that wouldn't be the case if you were acting the man down today. So
okay, fair enough.
Thanks. You've been doing good show. So Mike, until next time,
stay hydrated.
Good idea, actually. Hydrated. Get hydrated. Lots of whiskey.